Welcome, blessed souls. I am the magical medium, and welcome to my spiritual guidance channel. Today, we have the divine privilege to work with one of my beloved shamans, who I had seriously the privilege to walk with for 2 years under her teachings, her tutelage. One of the most profound light workers I've ever met. She has an incredible background of where she comes from. She has Middle Eastern, Native American, and I don't remember, I want to say French. I believe French. And just a really cool backstory. Gypsies, witches, Native American shamans. She walks the old way, meaning she goes by donation only. How I met this beautiful creature was so divine in place, and I want to tell you more about it. I'd like to tell you a little bit about how this deck came to be. Ooh, my throat chakra, Spirit's like, speak your truth. How this deck came to be. And also, there's a few messages that Spirit would like to give us for the collective. And I am channeling so many energies, you guys. I'm going to do a little prayer because Laila, who designed, or actually her friend designed and created them, and she did the spirit medicine for the trees. So the deck that we're going to be working with, we're going to get to your piles. The deck we're going to be working with is called Wisdom of the Tall Ones. And it says right there, created by Laila Lee, Dancing Spider Woman, and illustrated by Linda Torres. Very exciting. So I'm going to tell you how this deck came to be. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the beautiful souls that created this deck. And then we're going to jump into your cards. So today we are channeling the energy of the waxing gibbous moon. This is the moon cycle that we're in right now, meaning like in real time today is February 11th, 2022. Whenever you watch this, it's timeless. But I'm recording it in this energy here. On the bottom here is the full moon, which will be next week. We just came off the first quarter moon. And if you didn't watch the last pick a pile for the first quarter moon, I'll tell you a little bit about it. Actually, before I even go any further, they want me to jump in. For some of you, I'm getting a lot of anxious energy where I'm like, slow your roll, kids, slow your roll. But I get it. Sometimes it's really exciting. And I know there's so much power here. Layla's really, really powerful. I can feel her energy. I feel so many people's energy. My father came in. So it's going to be really amazing. Look, this piece of cedar came in and wanted to, burn. So starting from left to right, we have pile number 1, pile number 2 in the middle, pile number 3 over here. And then over here, this is not pile 4. This is actually a bonus pile. So if you're called to this pile, then this pile, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure what's going to go on here, but each of these cards represents a sacred tree. This is some old cedar that I harvested myself. I live in the Pacific Northwest. So, yeah, there's just a lot of, talk about dancing Spider Woman. And, I had a feeling this was coming. By the way, feel free to go to your pile at any time. I'm just going to move forward and just channel because there's a lot of energies here. And I don't know what's going to come through, but there were so many things that were coming through before this. I was like, okay, I'm going to get whiplash. I was like, you guys, like, seriously? I'm like, I was like talking to the spirit. Sounds like, you guys, I'm holding space for you. I got you. And also, can I tell you that we are on day 11 of my very clean diet? And let me tell you, well, mostly clean. I've had a few things here, but no sugar and no dairy. So, what's been really exciting is feeling how much my body is decompressing from the bloatedness that I was feeling from eating dairy and animal products. I didn't have any animals themselves, but I did have goat cheese and cheese. It was basically just cheese. That's it. Some of you know I joke and say I'm a cheesegin. This beautiful beloved creature that I met in Portland who was waiting on us said that. I said, my mom said, my mom was visiting, and she said, she's a vegan. She goes, well, she eats cheese. And then she goes, oh, that's cute. You're a cheesekin. And my mom just like rolled laughing. She was just like, that was the cute. She was darling. I mean, sometimes you have that one server. I was a server and bartender for years, and I always hoped that people took something good away from my experience as well. But she was one of those, where you're just like, they're like the best server, like they're so perfect for that job. She was bubbly and happy and brought a lot of sunshine. So anyway, with that being said, I was just feeling this really strong, powerful energy the last few days. And then yesterday I think it was yesterday or the day before, I saw a black spider crawled across my windshield. We live in a tiny home, so I say windshield because it's an old RV. But across the window. But it was outside, and it's February 11th. So spiders know they're allowed to crash inside my house. They're allowed to hang out here as long as they don't, go into my bed. Then, if they stay in their space and I stay in mine, we're cool. Or they can crawl on me and talk to me, but only when it, you know what I mean? Not scare me. I don't like to be frightened. Love spiders, but anything, if it's not invited, right, feels uninvited. Anyway, so getting to that, Laila Lee, Dancing Spider Woman, I was thinking about her and I was like, oh, I miss Laila. I miss her so much. And I have such a cool story about her and I. So years ago, by the way, a lot of you guys know I live on a working farm. So I'm not sure what that is. Hold on one second. Okay. It was a second for you, but a long time for me. But I'm glad because I didn't know that Spirit was going to have me light the cedar. So it gave me a chance to kind of open the window, and they're still doing stuff, but I just wanted to wait until they were delivering stuff. I just wanted to wait till they were gone. Anyway, but then they also had me bring in this was actually made by Native Americans. It's vintage. It's really old. It was gifted to me by a beautiful fairy. Anyway, and I also brought in the crystal ball. So maybe some of you, are drawn or needing some scrying. If you're drawn to it, I'll even kind of go over just a little bit so you can have a little more scrying time, so to speak. Okay, so I don't know exactly where we were, but I know that I was talking about my beloved teacher. And so the best part about Laila is that she doesn't refer to herself as a shaman or a teacher or whatever. She's just like, it's just her job to kind of pass on the medicine. Now, I don't want to speak for her, but I'm just going by my experience with her and knowing her for as long as I have and spending so much time with her for 2 years. And I mean, she really helped me with so much past life, past regression, like just a lot of things that I didn't even know I was harboring. Just awesome. So when I met her, she was in the process of making this deck. So that's why it's really special to me, because I remember when she talked about it, and it was her baby. She'd been working on it for several years, and then it came together. So if you're interested in this deck, I can, you can email me at themagickalmedium@gmail.com. Oh gosh, it's like delivery day. Sorry, you guys. Maybe that means something for some of you guys. So interesting story. They told me to just keep going. Interesting story. Last year, Spirit literally cleared out my phone twice with my contacts. Twice. The first time, I had like 170 contacts or something. And I think like over 100 of them were like my clients, right? As a medium, as a spiritual guidance counselor. Psychic medium, whatever. Like I don't really put labels on myself because I'm like a gazillion things, and I would have like all these labels, and that's just ridiculous. So, I was really upset because Layla's number dropped from my phone, and I kept trying to seek her out because I was like, oh, I should be able to find her, easily, whatever. And Spirit's like, no, leave it alone. And I realized it was because I needed to like work on things on my own. So I know we'll come back around at some point. I just don't know when or how or why. Because, sometimes if you lean on your teachers, your shamans, your guides, if you lean on them too much, you're not really helping yourself, right? Because they're just there to kind of like, that's like, bye-bye. Yeah, look at, they're saying goodbye, bye-bye, right? Sometimes people have to leave us for a little while, we're all on different paths. And And I did realize that I, had a codependent nature, or I was like, I just want to know the answers. I'm like, help me, help me, help me. And Laila kind of, I feel like the separation of that was one of my greatest teachers, because I was like, oh, she'll be in my life forever. I mean, obviously, but just a lot of really cool things went down between us. But how we met was I was actually filling in for a friend. This is when I lived in Portland years ago. And one of my really good friends who I used to work for in her vintage, she had a vintage resale shop called Rebels. Ugh, it's gone now. She closed because of the pandemic. And just like Portland was just going really south fast. And it was interesting because we both, her name's Tasha, and we both moved to Portland in the same year, like within like 6 months of each other. And so when she was opening her store, she had a store in Louisiana in Lafayette for like, I don't know, like almost 20 years, I think. And then her and her partner decided to move with their son to Portland because, it was really booming. They wanted to change. Her family was from Oregon originally. And so long story short, I worked for her on and off for years. But once in a while, if she was in a pinch, she'd be like, hey, can you cover me? Or she wanted a Sunday off because she was only open for like 4 hours. She'd be like, do you want to make some money? And I'd be like, sure. Most of the time I just worked for vintage because I had a job where I had money when I was like, oh yeah, dude, I'll work, because her store is amazing. And the artists there were amazing. So I was just there that day. She asked me to come in and I went in. I wasn't supposed to be there. I didn't even work there anymore. And it was one of those days where it was really slow and there weren't that many people. And Laila came strolling through the door. I swear to you. And shortly before that, I had asked Spirit, I was like, I need a teacher. Because I'd worked with other shamans before, but I felt like they only took me as far as I could go, or like our relationship went as far as it was supposed to, to be. And then I worked on my own, for a long time. And then I just started to feel like I needed more guidance. I was moving quickly, but I didn't really understand certain things about myself or what was happening. So I called her in. I mean, the fact that she literally like walked through the door was just, and you had to know Rebels. If you've been there before, please comment, because it's like, you could be like, yes, dude, it was like so magical, right? But it was, and I mean, and Tasha's a witch, and Layla's a witch, and I'm a witch, and so there was just, wherever two or more gather. So here was me working in one of the witchiest witches, most powerful witches I've ever met, Aquarian witch, in her store. And then in walks this beautiful Gemini, witch. It was amazing. And I'm a Sag. So it was just this really cool energy. And we must have talked for hours. And we connected, and she was from Chicago. I'm from Chicago. She was there visiting a friend. She had a friend who lived in Portland who had like an Airbnb. So she would let her stay there in the off season for like a month and stuff. Like they would trade like spirit work and stuff. So anyway, it was just this profound experience. Like, she didn't even live there. She's from Chicago, but I'm from Chicago. You know what I mean? Like, we just had this, it was just really cool. She's Cherokee. I'm Cherokee. She really awakened my Cherokee. That's why if you hear me saying, blessed be Aho, it's because blessed be is like my witch, and Aho means, it's kind of like, the best translation for people to understand is like amen, but it's in Native American. I might have even derived from Lakota. I don't remember, but it's like kind of like a lot of tribes use it. So that's why I say that. And Laila brought me back to myself. I mean, my original shaman awakened my witch, but it was Laila that for 2 years helped me to see like how many lives I've led and where I came from and how I came from the angel realm and how special I was. And it was really cool because she asked me to do a reading for her. And this isn't about tooting my own horn. This is like, you've been studying for years and years and working with crystals and everything, right? And like coming from the south side of Chicago, I didn't know anything at all. Well, I didn't know, that's not true. I played with tarot cards and I knew crystals and stuff, but like it wasn't as prevalent in my life. Let's just put it that way. It was more for like fun and kicks. And so, but what really drew me back to myself was the way Laila saw me. She knew she herself was like such a great seer. She's so many things as I am. And that's why Spirit brought me to her, because even she said, I've worked she'd been doing it for years, you know, blessed be for her. She was raised in a family where it was safe, you know, like her family were full of brujas, you know, like they were like old school. Like she had so many different like ethnic like backgrounds and just different parts of the world and cultural experiences. And so anyway, she's just super gifted. And she basically, like, one of my tests towards the end of, like, you know, working with her was she wanted me to read for her. Now, those of you who are new here, you may not know this, but I actually was a medium first. I never used tarot cards or oracle cards in my practice. In fact, when I worked with Laila, she was really specific on helping me to figure out like my spirit guides and like what the difference was and like how to understand my gifts basically. I mean, there's so much. I couldn't, you know what I mean? 2 years of walking with someone, it's really hard to like put it into like this nice little package right now at the beginning of this really awesome reading that I'm excited to do. But you know, it's funny because the theme of this reading is refine and focus. We're in the waxing gibbous, so it's the refine and focus after we, you know, just took action from the first quarter moon. I think I talked about that earlier. Check out that reading. It was really cool because that was all about intention, setting intentions after the new moon. But now in this energy, it's like, it's refine and focus. And so I feel like that's what Layla's like channeling through me right now, where she's just like refine and focus right now. So I read for her. And when I started telling her certain things, because I was like, I kind of feel like, you know, and I don't know if she would like me to tell her story. So I'll just, you know, basically I nailed it like all the way out the gate. Like she was so proud of me, like crazy proud of me. And she was just like, girl, you got it. Like, she's just like, you got it. She's like, not many people nail like that part of like my past life in the way that way you did. And she's like, wow, wow, wow. And she just said, you know, like, you don't need me anymore kind of thing. And I was like, yes, I do. And she was like, no, you don't. And I mean, you know, the whole process, she would tell me I didn't really need her, you know, right? Like, or if I'd get upset if I forgot my crystal jewelry, or I, you know, if I didn't have everything like perfect when I was doing a reading or something. And she really shook me out of that bullshit, you know, where she was like, no, just, she goes, you came into this world naked. You were just as powerful when you came into this world. You were as powerful then as you are now. It's just that we had so many years of, you know, people telling us who we are and who we're not. And all these labels and perceptions. That's why she was really, you know, anti-labels. Because, you know, she's like, I mean, yes, I guess in the term that I'm walking with her, she's teaching me. Teacher shaman literally translates to teacher. But at the same time, you know, she was trying to get me to understand that the world was changing really quickly and that people are, you know, I mean this with respect, but also with the resonance that's coming with it. I have to say this, you know, the people are like, I'm spiritual. You guys know I can't help it. I got to do it sometimes because it's true. Because sometimes I just can't. I can't stand people who are like, you know, I'm spiritual. So as you know, we've been in Big Camper for 6 years. One of my favorite pastimes is looking for a new home. It's my guilty little pleasure, just like people.com, you know, if you ever watch Sex in the City, Miranda used to get like some, you know, tattler, like, you know, Inquirer kind of thing. And people were surprised by it. And they're like, wow, I'm kind of surprised, Miranda. And she's like, just leave me alone. It's my thing. She just likes the little story. She's like, I don't care. They're just like little soap operas. I don't even care if they're true. And she's like, you know, and they were like, but those are real people. And, you know, because they were in them, like, you know, some of the other characters. Anyway, but that's how I feel. It's like people.com is my guilty little pleasure. And so is looking for a home. So anyway, I digress. So I was looking at this thing recently that it was this really beautiful home on water. And, you know, we're not opposed to living in a community if it feels like the right community. We've been open this whole time. I mean, our perfect world is to move into our own home, our own land, and start our own community, right? That we've wanted to do since we met each other, my partner and I. But what I really started to understand was what she meant when I was looking at this ad, and everything sounded really good until she said, I'm paraphrasing, but you guys know I'm an energy worker. I'm also a telepath, and I can feel energy, and people, if their guard is down especially, they don't even realize they're just like imprinting their thoughts out into the universe, and I can see it, I can read it. So that's what I felt like. I felt like the second I read this one thing, all I could hear for the rest of the ad was, she's like, I'm really spiritual. I'm gonna try not to laugh because I'm being a dick. I'm not. Please forgive me, spirit. Okay. But she was just, I can't because it's just so ridiculous. That's why I can't, because I'm just being myself, and then I can't help but laugh at it. But she was just like, I'm really spiritual. I'm really into yoga and green juices and shamanism. And I'm like, shamanism? And then she goes on to talk about like that she has this day job and that her sleep schedule and all this stuff. And I'm not saying she's not a shaman. I'm not saying that she's not a future shaman, but it was the way it was said where I was like, I fucking can't. Like, I just can't. You guys know that. It's not being judgment. It's just more of a like, it's cringy for me. And that's why I loved Laila so much, because she just called shit out. And I was always like that anyway. I call it my Southside Chicago Kelly, my truth. Like, it's Midwestern, because I was raised in Midwestern guilt. And, and because I was always this entity coming out of the womb, I was always going to be this. I just called bullshit left and right. And so I needed a shaman like Laila who understood me and understood where I came from. And it's like she didn't have to know my family to know my family. Do you know what I mean? It's like you just kind of know sometimes like where you come from. It's slowly burning, but I'm feeling this need. I want more. So long story short, Laila changed my life, and without her, I would not be here doing these readings for you today. So the book, the cards are so magnificent. Laila has a connection to the trees like no other. I myself have a really strong connection to the trees, but that too was like Laila and I would go into these like old growth forests here in the Pacific Northwest. She would come to visit her friend and I would take her on adventures, and that's how we kind of like traded. I didn't have a lot of money at the time. I was really, really living like hand to mouth. And so how we traded was when she came into town, I would take her on like these marvelous adventures and hikes and just really cool magical places. And everywhere we went, we would find like trees or, just anything, water or whatever, where we would just get these like connections. But the trees, she wants me to go up. So this is actually part of a tree that fell off. Look at that. And I love that this is actually the Literary Witches deck. But when I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, it kind of looks like Laila. Honestly, she's so, she's an abuela, but but her roots are, I don't think she has any Spanish roots or Latino roots. I don't, but she might, because I feel like those words keep coming in. Anyway, oh yeah, she does, because she's South, in her past life, that's right. Oh, that's right. So yeah, but she calls herself Little Granny Spider. So you may even be able to find her that way. But her deck, you're not going to find it on Amazon.com or anything like that, because at least she hasn't, as far as I know. She may have an Etsy page or something like that. She used to have an Instagram. So look for Wisdom of the Tall Ones, Laila Lee Dancing Spider Woman. You may want to take a screenshot. So her friend Linda Torres is a painter. And Linda painted, like Laila like told her, I don't know exactly how it got created, who started what, the chicken and the egg. All I know is that Laila wanted to do a deck of trees. She painted the trees, and Laila did the wisdom behind the trees. Okay, so you're going to see the visual of the tree, and then I'm going to read from this beautiful book that was written by Laila. Okay, and all of the paintings were actually original paintings that Linda did, and they did some type of I think they did an art show, Anyway, can you imagine how cool that would be to like see all of these trees and real paintings on a wall, and then seeing like Laila's like messages behind it next to it? I'm like, that's fucking beautiful and brilliant. And maybe that I was meant to tell you that because you're meant to do something like that with one of your friends, doing like a spirit. Maybe your friend is an artist. That just gave me an idea. Any of my artist friends, you want to reach out? Let's do something, because I've been called to create a deck So if you're getting any hits on that, please send them my way. Alder, my husband, he has been like on me about that like the last year. He's like, I just feel like you're supposed to create a deck. I'm like, I do too. I go, it just hasn't come to me yet. So anyway, all right, you guys, I could talk about Laila all day long. She's so magical and beautiful and fantastic and amazing, but we've been talking for almost 25 minutes. So let's get to your cards. So let's talk again, and or let me show you again. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, and bonus pile. And before we head to your piles, I could not move forward without doing a little prayer for my sister witch, Laila. So if you'd like to close your eyes with me, I'm feeling like she's a drummer. Oh, I'll do it on my chest. Maybe you can hear it. A prayer to the gods. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you to the tree spirits. Thank you to the tree medicine. Thank you to our beloved sisters, Laila and Linda, for blessing us with this reading and these decks today. We call upon our higher selves, our spirit guides, our animal guides, the angels, the archangels, the gods and goddesses, our benevolent creator, all of those of light, of dark, from the universe, the galactic council, from all realms, all galaxies, those who walk before us, those who walk with us now, and those who will walk with us after. Thank you all for being here today. This is a sacred space. We are honored by your presence. We are honored by your messages. We are honored by this medicine. Thank you to my beautiful teacher. You honor me as we honor you. And thank you to the Blessed Cedar. All of my information is in the description box below, and I'll see you at your pile. Blessed be. Aho. Welcome, pile number 1. Oh my gosh, if you did not watch the beginning, at least go to the prayer to the ancestors that's right before your pile. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to put that as a little timestamp because it just channeled so beautifully and so amazing. And so I'm coming off of that. So welcome. You are the Rowan tree. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. I grew up, one of my childhood friends, her mother's maiden name was Rowan, and she named her child, her middle name, Rowan. So that's really beautiful. I'm going to pull this just a little bit closer, just so you can see how gorgeous this is. Again, if you didn't hear the beginning, each of these cards were an actual painting. The deck was created by 2 beautiful angels, Linda Torres and my shaman, Laila Lee, Granny Spider, Laila Lee, Dancing Spider Woman. And so we're going to hear some messages from the Rowan tree channeled through my sister Shaman. Let me get the book. And while I'm opening that up, I'll give you a moment to look at it. I love the colors. It's so pretty. Now, whenever you watch this, it's timeless, but in real time, today is February 11th, 2022. So I love that imagery because, you know, even though it's fall, I realize that some things actually in spring look like those colors too when they're coming into being. right? So I feel like this reading is timeless for you, whether you're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. So the message from the Rowan tree is have tenacity. The thing that you need to refine and focus is tenacity. But the symbol for the Rowan tree is magic. What this medicine brings, besides telling us that, the tenacity and magic, you need to refine and focus the tenacity in your magic is, I'm hearing, that's exactly what I'm hearing from Spirit. I was about to just go right through the book, but they're just like, no. Like they want me to, they're like, stop right there. So we're going to stop right there. Yeah, for you to, for this pile, for pile number 1, I'm getting a lot of channeled energies. Yeah, you just need to have a little more tenacity. It just means you just need to have a little more give. You have to have find your strength, right? We're in the waxing energy. Again, whenever you watch this, it's timeless, but in this energy of this reading, we are working with the waxing gibbous energy. So that means that we are going into the full moon. And we are in the 4th phase. We are in the 4th moon phase. So technically, let me see. I just want to make sure. I think it's the 4th one. Yeah. So we're in the 4th one, which means we're halfway there. And it's interesting because people are like, oh, it's the full moon. Like, that's the climax. It's like, not really. The climax is between the waxing gibbous and the full moon, right? When it gets to that, like, wah, but we move in cycles, right? So this is the 4th cycle of this new moon in Aquarius. So in this energy, in this focus, the Rowan tree is reminding you of your magic, and that sometimes we just have to have a little more give and pull. And maybe you're holding onto something too tight. My eyes keep coming to this. It is a bookmark that I have, and my eyes just keep coming to it, and it's like, don't nag me, I'm trying to read. But Spirit is saying, also the horse came in, so look up horse spirit medicine. Clearly, can I just tell you, one of the last times I spoke with my shaman who helped create this deck, the spirit medicine she gave me was from Crazy Horse. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is I want you to look up Crazy Horse Spirit Medicine, okay? And if you need to pause and take some notes right now, go for it. Crazy Horse Spirit Medicine. Don't nag me. I feel like what you're trying to say is, don't nag me, I'm trying. But also, this could be the reverse, where it could be your higher self is like, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, you're trying. It's like your higher self. I feel like all of these energies want to call out to you. Not only that, but I feel like this wants to come over here. So maybe you guys are, maybe part of your magic is scrying. So work with fire scrying. See the fire behind there? There's a, it's a teeny little crystal ball. I got that at a thrift store, I think, for 50 cents. And at the time, I had no idea why. I started collecting those, just thinking, and I'm not really that much of a collector. I have been in my life, but like at that point when I found that, I wasn't really into collecting things. But this thrift store, I had a bunch of them, and they were all different sizes. And every time I went there, I just ended up like grabbing another one because they were like 50 cents or $1. And I was like, they must have come from like a factory or someplace because they had like a bunch of them. And I would just kind of like peruse in there every week or so and, see the pile dwindle down. And then, I was called to them. And over time, those of you who know whoever came to see me in person when I used to work at Psychic Sister in Olympia, I used to give them away because if someone was really drawn to it, I was like, oh, it's meant for you, So, and any of you who are on there, please, I hi Hella, like I'm gonna give a little shout out. I didn't even know you were still here. I'm so glad you're still here. Welcome, or welcome back, or maybe you've been here this whole time. And all of you, thank you so much for being a part of this tribe. We are building and growing in numbers. I'm feeling the magic as the moon cycles are coming to me. I'm starting to like understand my journey more and what I'm doing. So it was really refreshing to see, you know, someone I love and cherish, and I was like, yay. You know, it's like sometimes we float out of each other's lives for a little while, and sometimes we float back in. It's you know, that's the beauty of this, you know. And that's probably why Laila, you know, chose to be here today in this refine and focus energy, because I think sometimes we can easily lose sight of our magic. We get caught up in the human shit, and we get caught up in this and that, and you know, sometimes we have to take the journey solo, and sometimes we have to do it for a long time, sometimes we have to do it for a short period, right? But our lives, all of our lives are so significant, and we all have a purpose, you know. So if you're refining and focus, I don't know if this is even her pay or if she even chose this file, but either way, you know, it's like basically it's somebody who was in our tribe, and I hadn't seen them for a while, hadn't heard from them, and they responded on another pick-up pile I saw today. And it just really warmed my heart, because and then when Laila wanted to come in, I was like, it's all home week, you know what I mean? I was like, everyone's coming home. But maybe that's what it is too, is that sometimes, you know, we need to take a break from people, our magic. Maybe you need to refine and focus your magic. You know, I was so focused on other things, and I know I was meant to be, my focus was meant to be there at that time, but when Spirit asked me at the end of last year to totally change my channel, change my name, rebrand everything, after I've been like working so hard on that for years, you know, I mean, just like, I was like, what do you mean, you know? But it's actually been freeing. And I realized that sometimes something just takes its course for a little while, and then, you know, maybe it's shelved for a little while, or maybe it's gone forever. But maybe it's time for you to refine and focus your magic. And the tenacity is to have the willpower to, and the strength and the knowing and the intuition to know that it's time to change course. So in this, I'm going to put this here. I'm going to do it so you guys can I want you to be able to take a screenshot, because I think her spiritual teachings are so amazing and important. So here. So if you want to take a screenshot. Can you guys see that? Hold on. By the way, it says belly and breathe. And I was like, oh. So Laila, who created this deck, and maybe this is why she wanted me to say this here. Ooh, I'm not going to mess with it. That's the second time it fell. So they want you to have it in this kind of light. And maybe the symbols mean something. Maybe the way the light's hitting it will mean something to you. But Laila is a belly dancer. You know, you don't have to just be one thing. You could put your magic in a gazillion places. I mean, she's a death doula. She's a teacher. She does readings. She works with the spirit animals. And she does like all sorts of different readings. I mean, she's got like bag stuff where it's like she has like rocks and things. I mean, she just does cool shit, you know. So, you know, don't limit yourself. Like maybe you're somebody who, you know, likes to do salsa dancing, and you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do that anymore. They're like, yes, like do the things you love. Laila expresses herself through belly dancing. And I don't know how old she is now, but I just turned 50. So I know she's got to be in her 50s, because I've known her for years, and I remember like one of the last times I talked to her, she had turned 50, or she had just turned 50 like the year before. So, you know, we're never too old to do anything. I don't know who that message was for. So what she talks about here is when we're out of balance, we feel insecure and uncertain. When we're in balance, we're trusting our intuition, having patience to move through any obstacles. And then the meditation is place one hand on your heart, one hand on belly, and breathe, center, and listen to what comes. Write down any messages that may come through intuitively. Wow. That was really powerful. Okay, that's it, pile number one. It's like these were kind of like one and done, because, you know, sometimes we're just coming in for the, you know, exactly. We're just coming in to refine and focus and tweak a little bit here. Also, they just drew my eyes to, do you notice how in this picture, It almost, the way that it's hitting, it almost looks like fire, at least to me. I don't have my glasses on, but it kind of looks like, it was just the way the light was hitting it. It kind of looked like it was on fire. And right before this, I heard Taylor Swift's Safe and Sound. If you've never heard that song, I highly recommend you go and listen to it. And even if you have heard that song, go and find it and listen to it now, because that is a little lullaby soliloquy, something, I feel like Spirit saying something like that to you from them, saying, the line where she says, she's like, don't you dare look out your window, darling, everything's on fire. It's their loving messages to you to say, like, don't sweat it. Like, don't sweat the small stuff. It's going to be okay. And sometimes we have to make massive, major changes and overhauls. And it could be something like that, or it could just be something minor. Maybe it's just something that you have to tweak a little bit. Okay? So anyway, those are your messages. Thank you so much for being here. All of my information is in the description box below, and I'll see you next time. Blessed be. Aho. Oh, and a little sidebar, a little reminder to definitely check out the description box, because I know some people were trying to send me a donation, a contribution to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And they're going by all my old stuff when it was Lula's Labyrinth. I've literally changed everything. So you may want to check out my new links in the description box below. I don't even have Cash App anymore. I only have, for Venmo, I'm at themagickalmedium. And don't forget, magic is with a CK, like the way it's spelled on my YouTube channel. And my PayPal has changed as well to the Magical Medium. So the information is below. And if you would like to book a one-on-one session with me, my email is down there as well. I'll see you next time. Thanks, you guys. Love you. Bye. Bye. Welcome, pile number 2. If you chose the upside down life spiral, and actually, is it upside down? You know what I mean? Like, maybe the other way is upside down. But since it's like that, I say that, right? But you chose the apple tree. Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. It's like a really old song, like from a time long ago. So which makes me think you guys are really old souls. I love apples. Plus, it really is true what they say, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Because apples are one of the most... there's so much magic behind the apple that I could literally go on forever. When I had my Patreon channel, I was going to do a special on apples, and it just never really came to be. I'm not sure why. But if you get the chance, the next time you are at the store, or you live near a farm or a place that has apples, buy yourself an apple and cut through it, through the middle, not from top to bottom, from the stem down. Don't cut that way. Cut through the middle fat part. Okay? And when you do, it's going to reveal a really cool picture. And some of you may know already what that picture is, or image, I guess, image. And some of you may not. And I don't want to spoil it for those of you who've never cut through the middle of an apple, because the first time you do, it's pretty amazing and cool. Okay? And feel free to comment below afterwards when you do it. I'm going to say when you do it. And either way, eat some good, fresh, organic apples. Moving forward, I actually had brought this in for pile number 1. So if you were drawn to pile number 1, you may as well. You may want to go and watch that. If not, they didn't have me pull it out. So we have our little scrying crystal ball over there. Maybe scrying is part of your medicine. We did some really cool channeling. I did a channeling for the collective at the beginning of this, and also spoke about this deck and how it came to be, and how my shaman created this deck, yada yada yada. But at the end, we also did this really cool kind of like I channeled the ancestors and did this beautiful prayer. So if you didn't see any of that, I at least take a chance and take a moment to go and check out the prayer. I'll put a time. There's a timestamp. There will be a timestamp. There isn't now, but there will be. But obviously, if you're seeing this, the timestamp is there. So I'm going to go right into yours because the other one we channeled, because I just come out of that prayer. So we like channeled some really cool stuff right out the gate. But you guys, I'm feeling like we're going straight to the message. So we're getting to the core of it, right? But boom, pun intended. We're getting to the core, the apple core of it. So I'm going to show you the imagery. And if you'd like to take a picture. Here, let me get in a place where you guys can do it. Wow, I guess they don't want you to see that yet. And you know what? I've got some natural light coming in right now, so I'm going to go with it. So I'm going to read some stuff from the book. And let me just say right now, I'm getting this, I can't, and I can tell you right now because I've been flowing like a mofo since this started 45 minutes ago now. It just rolled over. So, what's going on, you guys? What do you need to refine and focus? What's going on? I'm feeling this stubborn, I don't want to go, just like dragging me by my, no. The message here is open yourself to the wisdom in your heart. Oh, so we've got some closed heart chakras here. Okay. So the symbol is the sacred star of protection at the center of an apple. Ooh, see, now Laila gave it away a little bit. There's another hint of what's on the inside of the apple. So what these cards, even though these cards each represent a tree, and I'm going to come in a little bit closer for you guys because now we've got that natural light. I'm going to see if I can get, isn't that pretty? So Laila Lee channeled the spirit messages and her friend painted the imagery of each card. And I love how there's only like a few apples there. Like you can see them, but there's only one that like really sticks out. Actually, no, now they're all really starting to stick out to me. Do you guys see that? Do you see? Oh, look at spirit. Look at spirit. Look at the magic. Oh my gosh, you magicians. You wayward warriors. If you guys didn't check out the last pickup pile from the first quarter moon, I highly recommend you go check it out with the feathers. That's all I'm going to say with that. But yeah, I'm feeling a lot of yeah, what's going on? It's almost like I can't talk. Give me a minute. Ooh, I'm getting that same message from one of those other piles from that reading too. Carry on a wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Yeah, open the wisdom in your heart. I feel like you guys, you're either in like a depression or you're just in a, I'm not going to do it. Maybe you know what you need to do to move forward, but you're just like refusing. The magic is all around you, but you're just like, no, forget it. I don't want my magic anymore. Or I'm not magical. I'm just feeling like this really kind of like sad energy, which is interesting because it says on here, when you're out of balance, you're hiding your true emotions of your heart's desire. But when you're in balance, you're living with compassion, forgiveness, and love for self and others. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot of this. Maybe you guys are, either you are doing some shadow work, inner child, like intense spirit work, or it's time for you to, like maybe you're getting signs from spirit, like it's time to, deal with some stuff. I remember growing up, I'd want to talk about things that happened. I grew up in a really horrific environment as a child, and I remember I'd want to talk to my siblings about it in our adult life, and they just never, ever, ever wanted to talk about it. And I'd say, I want to talk about it. I feel like, if we can talk about it, we can heal it. And they're just like, it's over. Why do you always want to talk about shit? And they literally, one of the last times I spent with my brother and sister, my biological brother and sister, I just remember like they both like at the same time like got up and I was left there with my one brother-in-law, and he was just kind of looking at me. And I was like, how come nobody wants to talk about anything? And he's like, because it's really hard for them. He's like, you want to talk about it, they don't. He's like, you can't force somebody to talk about it. And I said, I know, but I just feel like we would all feel better if we just talked about it. So I realized, it took me many, many, many years to realize that they needed to do that on their own, and there was nothing I could do. And so I've spent the last, my whole life, of course, I've been working on myself, but the better part of a decade, really, really like going in there and working on all my stuff and healing. And I realized how much of a solo journey it is. So maybe it's time for you guys to dig down deep, you know, and work with the apple medicine. And apples are so yummy. Can I tell you? And I don't know if you, when we did the New Year, New Moon Pick a Pile reading, one of the messages for the collective from Spirit was for us to have an animal-free February and a sugar-free February. And I've really been loving it in real time. You know, it's February 11th, 2022. These are timeless, but and this time it's like I love like how my body feels and how I've just been like changing. And you know, maybe it's you need to bring a stronger, refine and focus your diet, refine and focus your energy, because I'm just feeling a lot of scattered energy around you guys, which is why I was like I didn't even know what to talk about because there's like so much to talk about. And Spirit saying like they get that, like there's so much to, oh, look at that, I love that. Now they want you to like really focus on it. Woo, the sun went away. Oh, sorry, I messed with it. There we go. But utilizing this energy would be really helpful too. And honestly, can I just say, I love all of these cards. They're beautiful in their own right. However, the only thing about this card that I didn't quote unquote like when I first saw it was that it was so dark. And when I think of apple trees, I just think of them as kind of lively and, you know, whatever. But the interesting thing is, I think the way she painted this spiritual meaning of this card is perfect, because it's true. It's like, it's almost like when we're out of balance, we're hiding our true emotions and our heart's desire. Well, when you look in there, it's like those almost look like little hearts, those apples, right? And they're like almost hidden in there. Also, I'm going to see if I can get a look at this. Look at how even the way she painted this, and I don't know if this was purposeful. I don't know her to, you know, to speak for her. But when you really look at the imagery, I'm going to go darker so you can see it. Look at the imagery inside the tree. I see all these different things. So scrying is another thing. Oh, and look at that. Oh my gosh. Clearly you guys are meant to go back to that pick a pile reading if you didn't go, because look at the bird messages. That's the deck we used, is above it. But Spirit told me to put it there. Can you guys see that? Sometimes the way, you know, you may need to shrink your screen a little bit, but do you see where it says like messages right above that? So they're saying like, you know, scry in there. Maybe there's some messages for you. I see a lot of different things going on in this picture, like a lot. I'm going to go a little darker, but and just look at that while I finish the card. And it says meditation. Grab an apple, pray with the fruit of knowledge, and listen to your heart's desire. Eat and enjoy. The apple is, I highly recommend you just research apple spirit medicine and like apple as a spirit food, you know, things like that. But what I was going to say is, now that I've been sugar free again, I still get sugar out of like organic honey, like, you know, honey that's tapped right, that's not like refined or like bullshit, like it's real honey, which by the way, honey is not vegan, just so you know. But I don't always get called to honey. I misspoke. What I was going to say, that obviously that wanted to come in, but I use organic maple syrup, and it's important for me to find companies that like tapped, and there's a lot of really good organic companies out there that literally tap the maple syrup from the tree. Some of them just go through like, you know, some go through a process and some don't go through a process at all. You can actually get like, you know, anyway, I don't want to get into all that because there's many messages coming through. But I used that with some cinnamon and sea salt. I mixed that together, and then I threw in some apples. So I had organic maple syrup, cinnamon, and organic cinnamon, of course, you know, fresh cinnamon, and the sea salt, and I just mixed it together. I threw in some apples, some coconut oil, just a little bit. I mean, you know, I don't have an exact recipe. I just kind of wing it. But then I mixed that all together. I chopped up a bunch of apples, and then I mixed that with the apples, and I let that sit for a little while. And then I just took by itself, almond flour, and I just put a little bit of almond flour on the bottom. Then I took some of the almond flour and some of the, and then I put a layer of apples, but then I set aside some of the apples and I took the apples and the almond flour and I mixed them together with a little more coconut oil. And then I just made it into like crumbles with the almond flour. And then I just sprinkled it on top and I put it in the oven for, I don't know. I have a little tiny oven. I'm in a tiny home. So I think it was like 45 minutes or something. But check it, you know what I mean? Like everybody's ovens are different. It could be 20 minutes. I don't know. If you have a really powerful oven, I don't want you to burn it. But I just put it on 350 and I just kept checking it and my house smelled divine. And my husband was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm like, I know. And it was like such simple ingredients. I didn't even use that many things. So when I looked down, it was 5454. So clearly that's your angel number. You just look up angel number 5454. You can even add it together. It's 9 and 9 is 18, which is number 9. So it could be 9. Ooh, when I looked down, it was 5505. Damn, you guys got that 555. There's a lot of spirit medicine coming through. You guys are really, really, really powerful. This pile, you guys are so powerful. But yeah, your diet needs to change. It just needs to change. That's why you're not feeling good. And you know, it's easy to go to the dark side because when we're out of balance, we're hiding our emotions. We're just saying, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay. And Spirit's saying, if it's not okay, then say it's not okay. You do not, you're nobody's bitch. You don't have to like kowtow to anybody, right? Like whatever that saying is. I don't know what that is, kowtow. I don't know what that is. I love when Spirit will put something in my head. I'm like, I've heard that, but I don't know exactly what that is. But you get the gist, right? This is your life and you can do with it as you please. And an apple tree, I mean, come on. You guys are old souls. Don't let people dim your light. Don't let them take your power away. You know, the sacred star of protection at the center of an apple. Exactly. The 5-pointed star. You are witchy, witchy, witchy old medicine. And I get the feeling too, you guys are having some like old, you know, maybe there is some past life stuff, some darkness that you need to deal with. Because I feel like it is old, like it's not from this life. I feel like it's something from a long time ago. And I'm going to bring this in so you guys can take a screenshot of it now. Before they didn't want me to, and now they do. So let me get it centered. Okay. So this is your medicine, pile number 1. Thank you so much for being here. And I've been where you are, and it's temporary. And you have the power to pull yourself out of it. Trust me. I know, and it's hard sometimes, but you know, we got to get in there and do the work. So your refine and focus right now is your heart chakra. Work on yourself, your heart, your love. And anytime a negative thought or something, you know, if you want to judge somebody, right? Because when you're in balance, you're living with compassion, forgiveness, and love for self and others. But if you're out of balance, that means you're judging yourself and others, right? You're not having compassion for yourself and others. And maybe it could be too, where wherever the cycle you are in, it can be difficult when you're as powerful as you are, and you're, you know, it's the sheeple can get to you, you know, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like think for yourself, like I understand. Anyway, those are your messages. I hope they helped you, and I will see you next time. Also, I just want to give a little shout out because Spirit. I didn't think about this until recently, that, you know, if you're new here and you've only known me as the magical medium, that's awesome. But I used to be my channel used to be Lula's Labyrinth, and it was very different. And so all of my stuff, all of my contribution, donation stuff was under Lula's Labyrinth. And someone recently tried to donate to me, and they said, you know, I tried donating to you. You're not on Cash App anymore. I'm like, oh no, I'm not, you know. So I'm not on Cash App anymore. And if you had a link that I'd given you before, most likely it's not working, or it's gone, because I had to redo them all to say the magical medium. It's all in my information in the description box below. Okay, so thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Blessed be. Oh, bye. Welcome, pile number 3, sacred pile number 3. You chose the sequoia. Whoo! This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. It's one of my favorite trees, but it's also one of my favorite cards in the deck. And I'm going to come a little bit closer. And if you didn't watch the reading for the collective before this, and where I talk about how the deck came to be and you know, my shaman and all that. If you're interested, go back and check it out. If not, I at least urge you to check out the prayer. I'll put a timestamp for the prayer after it, right before the reading started. Wow. Or I should say after the reading for the collective, and then before the pick-a-pile. So, yeah, you guys chose the sequoia. And I just want you to look at this for a moment. This was painted. If you don't watch it, that's okay. So what I want to tell you is that each card was actually a painting that Linda Torres created. And I believe she painted from Laila, my shaman, from her spiritual teachings of the sequoia tree. So I'll let you look at that while I'm reading the card. And you can hear we got some cedar going in the background. I'm going to get a little bit more and then I'll bring it to you. Also, if you're drawn to this bonus card, I'm really excited to see what the bonus card's going to bring. Okay, so if you're drawn to that, you may want to stay around for that after this. Sequoia. Okay. Can you hear it? It's awesome. It sounds like a campfire. They're asking me to do this and then bring it over for you guys. Okay. Sacred Sequoia. So what you need to refine and focus, pile 3, is the message is realize there is strength in the small. Ooh, the symbol is seedlings. So this is really cool. So what I got from this is you need to refine and focus your ideas. Maybe you've been thinking about doing something, but you need to refine and focus before the seedlings can be planted. This is the teaching from the card. So if you'd like to take a screenshot of it. So when we're out of balance, we feel lost and insignificant in a big world. But when we're in balance, having a sense of ageless strength encompassed with spiritual and physical discipline. The meditation is sit at the base of a tree, visualize the smallest seed growing into the largest and oldest of trees on Mother Earth, and know that you are part of this world. Yes, I mean, look at that sequoia, right? She painted that sequoia tree. So at some point, this ginormous, gigantic, beautiful tree was a seed. A tiny little seed. So when you think of it like this, let's just use this rock as a seed, right? Imagine this becoming this. And, you know, just like any other seed that you would plant of any kind, it needs time to grow. You don't put it in the ground and go back the next day and be like, where's my tree? Where's my grandfather elder tree? You know what I mean? Where's my 400-year-old tree? They're like, well, it needs 400 years to grow, so it's not there yet. Now, they're not saying that whatever you're trying to plant and grow is going to take that long, but they're saying in order for you to have something this strong and powerful, you have to allow it time to grow. You have to give it breath. You have to give it life, you know? The graphite wanted to come in. And I haven't had graphite come into a reading in a really long time. So if you don't have any graphite, I highly recommend you get some. And graphite is exactly, sorry, this is the ashes from the, sorry, not sorry, right? This is literally what pencils are made out of. So your medicine, your spirit medicine is to research graphite. I can literally write it with this right now. If you have graphite, have you ever tried writing with it? It's actually kind of funny. It's like, wow, it really works. It also kind of looks like a heart in there, doesn't it? I've been getting a lot of scrying messages. And as the fire is crackling in the background, you know, I'm urging you to work on some scrying. And if you're pulled to any of the piles, I highly recommend you go and watch them as well. So graphite is really grounding. You guys need some deep grounding. When's the last time you guys got outside? Also, you're the first pile that so many things wanted to come in. I mean, look at, we've got the Witch's Tarot in the background with the bird messages back here. And if you haven't watched the latest pick a pile reading with the feathers and the bird messages from the first quarter moon, oh, there was the setting intentions. I highly recommend you go check it out. But you know, the refine and focus can be from the intentions that you set from that, but this one feels very different. That one was really saturated in relationships with self, with others. This one, it feels not that there isn't love there, you know, because we didn't talk about the heart chakra in the last reading, but this one is different. There's something, it's almost like there's something missing. Like you feel like there's something missing. And that's probably why the message is to realize that there's strength in the small, right? Small and mighty. I'm trying to remember, I used to say this about Laila, who created this deck. I'm trying to remember what I said because I made her laugh really hard one time. It might have been that. We were talking about something and I go, and I might have said something because she was really, we were so similar, like our body types, we were both really short. And I said something like that, you know, that it doesn't matter how big you are or how small you are, right? It's like you can be just as mighty, small and mighty as that sequoia tree, and your heart and your soul and your head space. So if you're feeling lost and insignificant in a big world, it's because you're the shrinking violet, spirit saying. You're the one that's pulling yourself, you know, away from your magic. Almost like you're afraid to plant the seeds, or you've planted the seeds, but you're not tending to the garden. So, you know, some seeds can stay in the ground for years and years and years and years, but in the right circumstances, with the right, you know what I mean? Like my partner said that recently we've had a lot of flooding around here, and our landlord was like, we've been here for like 4.5 years, and she's been here for over 30 years, and she said, oh gosh, we actually had it worse than that before. And I was like, really? And I was like, wow. But he and I were talking about that, like how deep water like that for so long, it's like, who knows like what's going to spring out of that, because that's not natural. And last summer we had a drought. So even though to some people they'd be like, oh no, all the trees, everything's going to flood, it's like we've been seeing things coming back. Like we saw this kind of grass we've never seen before, you know what I mean? So you don't know what's underneath, you know, like there's a part of you that I'm feeling like that you're afraid to show the world, because I'm feeling this kind of like you don't want me to see something, you know, like you don't want to let your walls down. But you know, if you don't let your walls down, then you can't let other people in. And maybe you've put your walls up because you had the wrong people around you. And now Spirit's saying, well, you know what? Maybe you just need to have the light shining on you from the right angle, from the right place, right? Where people see you differently. Maybe they don't honor your sacred. Obviously, if you found yourself here, you're a really, really powerful light worker of some kind. I'm even gonna go a little darker so you can like see, right? Like let them see the light shining through the trunk of you, right? Look at the beauty of like that tree and the trunk. I wish with this had smell-o-vision, because the cedar is just so beautiful right now. So when we're in balance, we have a sense of ageless strength encompassed with spiritual and physical discipline. So what I'm getting from that is exactly that, right? If you're not tending to your seed, sometimes you can plant a seed and it'll just grow wild. Even if you didn't tend to it, even if it's going to grow, because if it's meant to grow, it's meant to grow. Some things we have to give a little more care, a little more focus. We may have to refine how we're caring for that energy, for that entity. You know, I mean, I had someone recently, if this is your pile, honey, I'm so sorry, but I won't say their name in case they don't. But I had someone recently, I was asking them about one of their plants that I used to babysit. She's like, oh, yeah. She's like, I'm sorry. She's like, it died. I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean it died? And I was like so upset because I was like, oh, I kind of wanted to keep the plant, but it wasn't mine. It wasn't mine to tend to. I helped keep it alive. I helped bring it back to life a little bit. But after I passed it back on to the owner, it was up to them to keep up with it, care for it, connect with it, find out what it needs, you know, kind of thing. So you know, it's not my medicine. I have no idea why it died or why, you know what I mean? That's between them and there's the spirit, the plant spirit and spirit itself, right? But if we don't tend to our garden, if we don't prune it and pull out the weeds from the roots, because anybody can cut their grass and cut the weeds, but if you're not pulling the weeds out from the roots, you know, weeds